The gods of Eora are not gods in the traditional sense. Rather, they are the artificial creation of Ingwith, an ancient society of high minds and broad concerns. Ingwith built gods from ideals, and an ideal, on its own, is a grotesque and vicious thing. In the time of the Ingwithans, every civilization worshipped its own gods, which inevitably led to religious warfare. After a series of devastating conflicts, the Ingwithans sought an end to it. They devoted all their energy to finding the true creators. Generation after generation, they analyzed the fabric of the world and unlocked its secrets, mastering the science of the soul and all metaphysical concepts, including taming the wheel. One day, they found an answer, except the answer was no answer at all. There were no gods to be found, or if there ever were, they were gone. Welcome. You are listening to Zinematic Gaming, and we are discussing the gods of Eora, the world of living lands, the setting for Obsidian Entertainment's next big RPG, Avowed. Not too much unlike our world, gods play an active and direct role in the world of Eora. Like the Hindus, Norse, Egyptians, and ancient Greeks, people of Eora have many gods to choose from. They may worship more than one god, but they tend to honor those who are most associated with their way of life. Farmers often worship the gods of light, growth, or storms, while warriors might praise the gods of battle or fortune. For some, this worship is a matter of respect and tradition. They believe their deities to be their creators, and disrespecting them could bring dire consequences. For others, worship is a matter of karmic self-interest. We're talking about Eothas, the god of renewal and light today. He also rules over the domains of light, redemption, hope, and rebirth. He is often represented as a young man holding a candle and wearing a crown of shining silver. Another aspect of Eothas is called Gon, a figure of cyclical death, commonly represented as a farmer carrying a lantern and sickle. Gon emphasizes the natural ending of mortal life. The sickle he carries reaps what is sowed in life, and the lantern guides the deceased through death and rebirth. It is believed that Gon visits those who embrace death with acceptance. Books such as Eothasian Prayer and 10 Years of Light sing his praise. In 10 Years of Light, a farmer speaks about his wait for Eothas' return and the hope that keeps his mundane life alive. He doubts his belief, but in the end, his faith becomes strong again with gratitude. Influence over the sun and stars contributes to his overall air of grandeur and importance, putting Eothas at odds with the rest of the pantheon. His churches are strictly regulated by divine command. A candle, lantern, or torch always burns in the center of every room in his church. It is believed that these lights banish dark shadows of the world to vacant doorways, realm of Barath, the god of death. Doves are traditionally housed in towering rookeries of the church. Prior to the Battle of Godhammer and the destruction of Saint Waydon, Eothas communicated regularly with his faithful. While worship of Eothas is still popular in the Aedir Empire and Riadsuris, the faith is outlawed in most cities of the Free Palatinate of Direwood, and its followers are often victims of prejudice due to events of the Saints' War that culminated at Godhammer Citadel. The Dawn Stars are a manifestation of Eothas, which most people agree have not been seen since they visited Wayward. According to stories, the Dawn Stars appear as the ethereal forms of a man and two women who represent 3 of the brightest stars in the sky. They act as heralds of things to come, or as heralds of things Eothas wants to come, and as advisors to mortals. The children of the Dawn Star, not to be confused with aforementioned supernatural manifestations of Eothas, are followers of Eothas from Red Cirrus, who have traveled to the Deadfire Archipelago as migrant workers in the decades following the Vorlus, Blight, and the Saints' War. The children are loosely organized into small groups, some nomadic, others settled, dedicated to the worship of Eothas. Most are organized around charismatic priests and leaders. Priests of Eothas are said to be honest and kind in their dealings, condemning all expressions of cruelty and falsehood. The children are treated with an attitude ranging from indifference to wariness. However, since they lack the organization to pose a major threat, they are rarely considered as anything more than a nuisance.
Another notable faction dedicated to the devotion of Eothas is Night Market. In the wake of the Saints' War, several secret organizations formed in the Drywood. In addition to ministering to the needs of Eothasians, who cannot worship publicly, the Night Market attempted to track and fight against any forces that would threaten Direwood, in hope that they can mend the relationship between Direwoodans and Eothas. However, some members of the Night Market wish to transform the purpose of the group into something quite different. An organization seeking revenge for the events of Halgut Citadel, the site of the battle during the Saints' War, when the Godhammer bomb destroyed Saint Wayward and shattered Eothas. In honor of the battle, the Citadel was renamed Godhammer Citadel. Perhaps the most important faction dedicated to Eothas is the Fellows of Saint Wayward Martyr, an order of paladins from the penitential regency of Riadsurus. The order protects the Godhammer pilgrim trail for their god Eothas. The trail leads to Saint Wayward's place of rest. Saint Wayward was a human farmer transformed into a living incarnation of Eothas, and was the first and only divine king of the divine kingdom of Riadsurus. He started to deliver speeches in the town square. Such activity would normally have been overlooked by the local government, but people listened to his ravings. No one could decide if he was brilliant or mad, but he quickly gathered followers drawn to the stories of Eothas' miraculous prophet. He took no credit for the content of his speeches, claiming that Eothas visited him at night, taking the form of the dawn stars, and imparted the divine message directly into his soul. Among other notable followers of Eothas are Zodi and Adir, whom players can include in their party during their adventures in Pillars of Eternity. Eothas favors honest and benevolent people. His aspect appreciates people who are rational and stoic. Cruel, deceptive, and even passionate acts are not tolerated in his presence. The faithful of Eothas gain an accuracy bonus with Flail and Morning Stars, and can cast a healing spell that shortens frightened and terrified durations. His priests preached these lessons in his grand temple at Gilded Vale. It was such a prominent temple that it attracted followers of Eothas from all over Direwood, and even Riadsurus. But once Wayward's legacy began, a crisis that caused the birth of Hollowborn babies, Lord Redrick, the ruler of Gilded Vale, believed that worship of Eothas was causing the birth of Hollowborn babies. He sent soldiers in to wipe out any Eothas worshippers and seal up the temple. The spirits of the slain priests haunt the ruins as shadows, leaving the temple dangerous and inhospitable. Another one of his temples is found in the city-state of Nekataka, found in the city's Sacred Stair district. This temple is dedicated to his aspect Gon. The ancient temple has been occupied by the Children of the Dawnstar to act as the center of their efforts across Deadfire Archipelago. Much of the floor is submerged in water, so you will need to watch your step. Among many relics of Eothas is Collar of Eothas' Light. Anyone who wears this is granted Sun's Blessing and Dawn's Reflection, which gives them 10% chance to reflect against spells. Each bead on this collar is meant to represent a redemptive act performed by the Eothasian priest who crafted it. Another important Eothas relic is the protective Eothasian charm, which grants the wearer darkest before dawn, giving them +1 perception and +5 health restored per 3.0 seconds, minus 25% damage taken for 12.0 seconds. You can find the amulet in Port Maj, in the bucket of a well. After being assumed dead for many years, Eothas has awakened under Cade Noir, destroying everything in his path and even draining the souls of the people in the surrounding area. The Watcher similarly has a piece of their soul torn out, but manages to barely cling to life. For those who have not played Pillars of Eternity games, the Watcher is your player character. In this near-dead state, they are contacted by Barath, the god of death, who offers to restore their soul in exchange for agreeing to become Barath's herald and take on the task of pursuing Eothas to discover what he is planning. In his quest, the Watcher discovers Eothas' plan to break the Wheel of Creation. The Wheel is a natural phenomenon in Eora that is responsible for the cycle of rebirth, allowing souls to pass from one life to another. The ancient Ingwithians, together with the Huana, constructed a giant machine in the ancient city of Ukaizo to seize control of this process. The machine steered souls into the beyond from the in-between, much like damming a river. To control and direct the flow of souls, The Ingwithans, who became gods, took direct roles in controlling this process. For example, Barath became the key figure in maintaining the metaphysical cycle, while Eothas helps keep souls in motion. The gods use the essence that a soul sheds in the wheel, known as entropy, to sustain themselves. Eothas planned to diminish the role of the gods and elevate Kith to bring about a new age in Eora by breaking this wheel. The destruction of the machine has caused the cycle of rebirth to stop. Souls from newly deceased now pool in the in-between, unable to pass to the beyond and to the new births. Your adventures in Avowed will continue after this world-changing event. What happens when the last living being dies? How do new babies come into life? Hopefully we will get those answers in Avowed. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you liked this episode of Avowed Lore. If you would like to listen to more lore videos on Avowed or Pillars of Eternity universe, do let me know. Like the video as it helps a lot. Subscribe and check out the membership perks to support the channel. I will see you soon.